first half, I think you guys went on an 18-8 run, and then to start the second, went on a 12-2 run. How much would that coincide with you guys ended up doing for the rest of the game?
Well, we had one timeout where everybody to a man was talking about the ability to guard the ball. They were just blowing by us, getting to the basket for layups. And once we stopped them from doing that and got the ball, we were able to get out and run, and that generated some energy. And then coming out of the halftime break, it was just juice, toughness, grit. Offensive execution was decent, but I thought we were able to get the stops in a row to start the half. That really gave us a lot of energy.
Curious with Devin, I'd actually like at the end of the regular season, you weren't worried about him in a slump, and then tonight just to see what he did.
Say that again?
I said you weren't worried about him being in a slump.
No.
At the end of the season. How nice was it to see him going in the second half?
I mean, I was planning on taking him out the first 2 minutes of the fourth. Then he got going, and then I said one more play, and then one more play, and he kept hitting shots. So I just let him go. But when he's attacking like that, and then he was, knocking down big shots from outside, it just keeps everybody off balance. And I thought the spacing was a lot better tonight. I thought we were organized a little bit better than we were the other day. But just having the balance of him and Kevin being able to get to their spots with a live ball helps. But I thought Chris did a really good job of just putting the ball in Book's hands and saying, you go. And Chris was on the second side. So, Book scores in a number of ways. And when he's going like that, I think the team feeds off of his high-level play, if you will.
One other thing I had, when you look at Kevin, it was more off the curls and him getting some movement early. How big did you think that was just to get him started?
Yeah, I mean, we're just trying to keep it as simple as we can and space around him. I thought D.A. and Biz did a really good job of freeing him up with the screening. And I think the more they play together, they can figure out, is he going to go over top or underneath? And when he catches it with a live ball, he's so tall, he can see over top and see where the double team is coming from, but he can also just get that shot off.
Monty, you guys went on an incredible run in those middle quarters, and a lot of it was Devin either finding the shot for himself or his teammates. Was that the offense that you were looking for after game one and just the flow?
I think, again, like anytime we can rebound the ball, like we rebounded tonight, we actually won. I don't know what the stat was after tonight's games, but almost every team that's won the rebound battle has won the game. I think it's 9 out of 10 before tonight. So when we rebound like that, we can get it to any one of those guys. And now, as I've said before, our best offense is a defensive stop. But when Book is going downhill like that, he's hard to guard.
As a playmaker, just the steps that you've seen him take in the last 2 years specifically at this winning level to be able to diagnose a defense the way that he did.
I think continuity helps when you have a player like Book, because you spend a lot of time in the gym talking about spacing and where guys should be, and that allows for him to go. And then if he does have to make the pass, he knows where that guy is. And then the other part is he's just good. When he's rolling like that, it's hard to guard him when he's going downhill. But I think having Kevin on the floor allows for more space, and then Torrey is knocking down shots. So he's just a tough cover when he's playing downhill, but in particular off of stops.
Coach, with Book and KD getting those live ball situations, you guys hit a lot more mid-range shots tonight, but you also generated a few more threes. How did you like that balance?
A few more. I think they are giving us a few of them because Torrey is outside, J.O.'s outside, and they're plugging the paint a bit with Zubac, and so that allows for us to get some corner threes. But anytime you can get the ball in your best player's hands and space the floor well, I think it allows for you to be more efficient. That's what they're doing with Kawhi. He gets it at the nail. It's a tough place to double team. It reminds me of back in the day with Dirk, when he played at the nail. That's a tough spot to try to double team. So we're just going to do our best to, give those guys the ball in space, and then everybody else around them has to be ready to make a play. And I thought Chris was, down the stretch, he was really good in pick and roll. One time he shot it, I couldn't see the basket, and I was behind him, and he still made the shot off of pick and roll. So those three guys, two in live ball situations, Chris in pick and roll, that allows for us to be efficient on offense.
How big was that stretch in the second quarter where it felt like the offense kind of sputtered and DA hit a couple of mid-range just to keep you guys afloat?
It was really good. I thought early he was in the crowd. He was almost diving too low to try to get to his floater, and then he was passing it. And after a timeout, everybody was like, dude, shoot the ball. And he started catching in his spot, and he didn't hesitate. And those buckets, even though they're twos, they allow for us to set our defense, and when we're set, we're pretty good.
The TV broadcast picked up you, I think, saying, draw your line in the sand. How much was that the message at halftime, and how much was it adjustments or just
Sometimes playoff basketball, I mean, people talk about adjustments all the time, and we make them all throughout the game. But a lot of basketball is just being able to sit down and guard the ball and keep a guy from getting to the basket or being able to contest the shot. And I think man-to-man, coaches, everybody felt it. We just needed to guard the ball and keep them out of the paint. Russ was getting to the basket. Kawhi was beating the double-team baseline. And if he beats the double-team baseline, you got two guys behind him now. So you got to help with the third guy, and then that gives up offensive rebounds or threes on the backside. So we felt like if we could just guard the ball for at least two dribbles and force them into a tough shot and rebound, we can get out and run. But that was something that we all felt. And we have a saying here, you know, we call each other up, not out. And so everybody felt it, and we just executed a lot better.
Yeah, after that deflection that Chris had for Westbrook's pass, he looked like he was visibly, holding his hand, and he's holding it on the next out of bounds play.
I don't have anything to report. He seems like he's okay.
Two more, Dave and Ben.
And Monty, Chris Paul looked like, again, in the first half, he was struggling with the catch and shoot on the threes. He was driving in and trying to hit the midi instead. And then in the third quarter, that started working for him. But he's still running himself off the three-point line. Are you guys talking to him about that, or are you just like, hey, do what you got to do, Chris?
It's probably both. I mean, we want him to take those shots, but you don't want to take away from his creativity. For whatever reason, he didn't take those shots, but down the stretch, he took the shots that mattered. And that's just Chris, Kevin Young, and Book, and everybody's telling him to shoot those shots, and he can make them at a high level. But I do like him attacking the basket, too, because he can pass it or get to his midi.
Monty, in the first answer, you mentioned toughness and grit, and I know this win was important, but was the how just as important, that it wasn't a shootout, that it had to get a little ugly and you guys had to figure some things out in those middle quarters?
I think that's just playoff basketball. When you have a close game like this, it's going to be ugly. There's going to be some calls that you don't like. There's going to be some physicality. There's going to be situations where there's going to be breakdowns and you got to put the fire out on the backside. And those things happen. Emotions are high. And I like the guys, the way they're getting after each other, because they're holding each other accountable. And that's the sign of a close team. And so all that stuff is just a part of playoff basketball, in my opinion.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.